Good evening, everybody. Camera stops here, okay? I'm supposed to know that. See, but I was wondering why this is any difference. All right. With Doug. She's still too restricted to the side. Good evening, everyone. How about we all take our seats? Welcome, whether you're here in person or on the live stream. Please take a seat, make yourself comfortable. My name's Natalie, and I'm really pleased to be welcoming people here tonight to the Emergence Performance Night as part of our Emergence exhibition. Welcome. Welcome. Isn't it exciting to be going out and hearing something live and seeing something live and seeing each other in 3 dimensions? It's fantastic. So welcome everyone, and even though we're flat on a screen for the people who are live streaming in, welcome to you as well. We'll try and be extra dimensional so you can appreciate everything. Welcome to what is promising to be a fantastic evening. We've got music, we've got movement, we've got poetry and prose, we've got involvement of many community members here tonight. I'll just give you a little bit of an outline about how the night will run. We'll have 2 halves that have got performance art for you to enjoy. In between those 2 halves, there'll be a substantial interval, so you can walk around, you can appreciate the visual arts that are in this space and in the other 2 spaces. So there's time to see everything that's there. There's time to talk to each other. And at the end of the evening, after the performances are finished, there'll also be time again where you can talk to each other and appreciate the visual arts that are up. But this is not your only opportunity to see the artworks that are here. Don't forget that the church is open tomorrow from 1 till 3 and Sunday from 1 till 3, where you can enjoy the arts. And we've also got a final artist spotlight Zoom session, which is tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock with A.R.D. So there's still plenty left to enjoy. So welcome. A couple of notices. If you ever at any point during the night need to go to the toilet, don't feel like you have to wait for a break. You're welcome to just go out through this door, out to the toilets out the back. If you're unsure where they are, find someone who's a member of the church, but through this door into the hall and out in that back corner is where the toilets are. We are still in the midst of COVID, so please keep your face masks on unless you're eating or performing, and remember to maintain social distance from people who are not part of your household or bubble. All right, I think that's all of the notices that I needed to get through. We're going to start the evening. Saide is going to give us an acknowledgement of country and a blessing to all of us as we start this evening. So, Saide.
Sorry, just give me a moment. So with our feet on the ground or the floor beneath us, let's take a breath as we hear these familiar words for those of us who are part of the Brunswick Uniting Church congregation. If you know the words to the response, please join in. We acknowledge and respect the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of this land since time immemorial. We are learning that the land is not ours to own, but to look after, and that if we listen, we may hear in it the calling of the Eternal Spirit. Responding to this call, we commit ourselves to work for justice, reconciliation, and care of the earth. We dedicate this evening to the great creative spirit of our loving God, and we ask God's blessing on all that we offer this evening. May we bring joy to our community here and far away. Amen.
Thank you, Saide. Courtney, who's been the convener of the exhibition and kept a lot of things running, is going to now give us an introduction to Emergence and explain what it is and how it came about. Courtney, over to you.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's lovely to see you all here in person, surrounded by art. As Natalie mentioned, I'm Courtney. I'm the exhibition coordinator for Emergence. Most of you would know me already. I'm an incredibly disorganised person who managed to miraculously pull together things because of the amazing, wonderful people who surround us in our community and have gone to great lengths in order to put this exhibition together for all of us to enjoy. So I just want to start off with just momentous thanks to those people, many of whom who are actually in this room, because without you, this exhibition would not have happened. So it feels apt to kind of start the night with just a bit of a breakdown of, how we came to the theme of emergence. When we first started talking about planning this exhibition, it was somewhere about March and April, so we were in sort of a similar position to where we are now. We were just coming out of lockdown. We were probably thinking that maybe the worst was behind us, having gone through curfews and having gone through perhaps some people losing jobs and being disconnected from friends and family for a very long time. So when we were trying to think of a good theme for the exhibition, we knew that everyone had had different experiences throughout COVID and throughout lockdowns. We'd all been, obviously, locked down, unable to leave our houses. We'd all had to find different ways of connecting with our loved ones. We'd all been forced to find meaning where perhaps we hadn't seen any before. And I think the more that we dwelt upon that, we wanted to choose something that didn't dwell on only the negative aspects of it, because it seemed to be all-consuming. But rather we wanted to focus on, out of this adversity and out of these hard times, what can we actually bring forward? So when we thought about that and we thought about our shared experiences, one big common theme for all of us, particularly those of us here, is creativity and art. And it's especially something that I think a lot of us have come to rely on and use to express ourselves in times of good and in times of bad. So considering that and wanting to capture this discovery of new things and discovery of new passions, learnings that we've had during lockdown, we came upon the theme of emergence. And that was trying to capture everything that we'd gone through in the past, but more importantly, how we would bring the best of ourselves forward and what had actually come of all of this time that we never thought that we would experience in our lifetimes. So keeping that in mind, Emergence, I think, seems to have struck a chord with a lot of artists, which is a wonderful thing to see. And I would really encourage you, as you go throughout the exhibition, I mean, there are many artists here tonight as well, to ask the artists about their own interpretations of the work, but also to formulate your own responses and to think about what emergence means to you and to think about how you emerged over the last 18 months and what new things came to light for you that you will bring forward into your future. So without further ado, I'll stop there and we will get on with tonight's proceedings. And thank you very much again.
Thank you, Courtney. So our first item this evening is appropriately Ian Ferugson, our minister. For those who don't know, Ian in a past life was a professional dancer and still gets a lot of sustenance from dancing, and I can imagine he missed dancing with friends during the lockdown. And he's going to present a movement called Lockdown and Release. Do you need me to move this? Okay.
Thanks, Natalie. So this isn't exactly a dance that I'm going to do now. It's more of a movement meditation, and it's just a little thing. And it's so small, in fact, that I'm going to invite you all to do it with me. So it's a movement meditation on being in lockdown and emerging from lockdown. And it just involves one of your hands. It could be either hand. Choose a hand. I'm going to do it with this hand. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to just go through 4 different movements or actions, engagements, and just see what you feel, and to hold in the back of your mind the experience of lockdown and emerging from that lockdown. So to begin with, let's just take a breath to prepare ourselves and tune into our bodies. Then take that hand and just close your fist. Close it really tightly, as tight as you're comfortable doing, and really hold it. Feel the muscles in your forearm, even your upper arm, perhaps even through your chest, really engaging to hold your hand tight, to hold tight. What are you feeling in your body as you do that? In your hand, yes, but in the rest of your body as well. This is the lockdown. Hold it, and now the next movement is to let go of all these muscles, but not to open your hand, just to release the muscles and see what you notice. So 1, 2, 3, Just let those muscles release, but don't open your hand yet. What do you feel now? How has your body changed? This is the news of relaxing restrictions. And now, start very slowly as you can, to open your hand, really slowly, and notice, how does it feel? Do your fingers want to unfold? Do they come out easily? Or would they prefer to stay where they are? Just notice, there's no right or wrong. It could be uncomfortable. It could be a relief. This is the emergence. And now, finally, notice how your hand feels, your fingers, your arm. What does it want to do? Does it want to go back in again? Does it want to stay out? Does it want to wave? Does it want to retreat? Does it want to just really let go? What comes next? Bring in your other hand, just to balance things up. So many possibilities now. The emergence.
Ian, thank you. I think I'll be doing that again as the night goes on. It's fascinating. Our next item is a work of poetry and some music. So Courtney and James will be presenting this together.
James, my husband. This was a little bit of a last minute piece that I wanted to submit to capture, I think, interests that emerged, not necessarily during lockdown, but probably over the course of our collective creative journeys. We got a piano not too long before we all went into lockdown, so part of, I guess, dealing with being in the house all day was also rediscovering interests and passions that perhaps had died off, or, you don't get the time to do because you're going out during the week or you're working late or whatever else. So I'm going to read this poem that I like by A.R.D. Fairburn, this New Zealand poet. And James is going to provide some lovely music over the top. Now, I'm not much to look at, so I'll invite you to close your eyes and listen to the words. Listen to the words and listen to the music, and just let it carry you away and think about it and relax. All right, so this one is called Elements. 1. In the summer, we rode in the clay country, the road before us trembling in the heat, and on the warm wind the scent of tea tree, grey and wind-bitten in winter, odorous under summer noon, with spurts of dust under the hoofs and a crackle of gorse on the wayside farms. At dusk, the sun fell down in violet hills, and evening came, and we turned our horses homeward through dewy air. In autumn, kindness of earth covering life mirrored stillness, peace of mind and time to think, good fishing and burdened orchards. Winter come, headlands loomed in mist. Hills were hail-swept, flowers were few, and when we rode on the mountains in frosty weather, the distant ranges ran like blue veins through the land. In spring, we thrust our way through the bush, through the ferns in the deep shadow angled with sunbeams, roamed by streams in the bush, by the scarred stones and the smooth stones water-worn, our shoulders wet with rain from the shaken leaves. Oh, lovely time when bliss was taken as the bird takes nectar from the flower. Happy the sunlit hour, the frost and the heat. Hearts poised at a star's height moved in a cloudless world like gulls afloat above islands. Smoke out of Europe, death blown on the wind, and a cloak of darkness for the spirit. 2. Land of mountains and running water, rocks and flowers and the leafy evergreen, O natal earth, the atoms of your children are bonded to you forever. Through the images of your beauty lie in shadow, time nor treachery nor the regnant evil shall efface from the hearts of your children, from their eyes and from their fingertips, the remembrance of good. Treading your hills, drinking your waters, touching your greenness, they are content, finding peace at the heart of strife and a core of stillness in the whirlwind. Absent, estranged from you, they are unhappy, crying for you continually in the night of their exile. 3. To prosper in a strange land, taking cocktails at twilight behind the hotel curtains, buying cheap and selling dear, acquiring customs, is to bob up and down like a fisherman's gaudy float in a swift river. He who comes back returns to no ruin of gold, nor riot of buds, moan of doves in falling woods, nor wind of spring shaking the hedgerows, heartsache strangling sweetness. Pictures of change, extremes of time and growth, making razor sharp the tenses, waking remembrance, torturing sense. Homecoming returns only to the dull green, hider of bones, changeless, save in the slight spring when the bush is peopled with flowers, sparse clusters of white and yellow on the dull green, like laughter in court, and in summer when the coasts bear crimson bloom, sprinkled like blood on the lintel of the land. 4. Fairest earth, fount of life, giver of bodies, deep well of our delight, breath of desire, let us come to you barefoot, as befits love, as the boy to the trembling girl, as the child to the mother, seeking before all things the honesty of substance, touch of soil and wind and rock, frost and flower and water, the honey of the senses, the food of love's imagining, and the most intimate touch of love that turns to being, deriving wisdom and the knowledge of necessity, building thereon, stone by stone, the rational architecture of truth, to house the holy flame that is neither reason nor unreason, but the thing given, the flame that burns blue in the stillness, hovering between the green wood of the flesh and the smoke of death. Fair earth, we have broken our idols, and after the days of fire, we shall come to you for the stones of a new temple. Thank you.
Thanks, James and Courtney. So our next item is also musical. Tessa Robb is going to bring us some songs on guitar. Perhaps while Tessa's getting ready, you might want to try that action again that Ian talked us through. I know I want to keep on doing it to think about it more. I did actually plan to bring a book of jokes, but I couldn't find it. Even though our house is much tidier than it was when lockdown started, because there's not much else to do but tidy the house some days, couldn't find the book of jokes at all. So if anyone knows any good jokes, tell me some during the intervals. I've got some for the second half of the show. Thanks, Tessa.
I don't know how He's always waiting there for me. He's always making us see I stand and then I fall. I'm up against the wall. Why is he making eyes at me? He's always waiting there for me. He's always making us see I stand and then I fall. I'm up against the wall. Why is he making eyes at me?
Tessa, thank you. The next item is Tim Hoffman, who's going to bring us a piece of prose called Dateline, 6th of November 2021, Prince's Pier, Port Melbourne.
It's the 6th of November 2021. Yes, last Saturday. And I've been thinking about this day for years, for decades even. So, if my mother was alive today, she would be 100 years old. Imagine what life was like in the year she was born, 1921. She was born at a fundamental change, you might say a cusp, to the old world order in the Western Hemisphere. The Russian monarchy had recently been abolished with the Bolshevik Revolution, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire had come to an end. Even more extraordinary, the 600-year-old Ottoman Empire was to be extinguished entirely in 1922. And in United Kingdom itself, where my mother came from, 7 years after my mother was born, it was only then that women finally could vote on the same basis as men. To mark this special occasion, I'm here at Prince's Pier, Port Melbourne. I'm sitting on the bench, wistfully looking out to the horizon with my many, many memories and stories. At this time, we're all emerging from COVID and the nightmare it's been for us for the last 18 months. I hear sounds of new life around me. Joggers panting behind me, kids on scooters, mothers with prams, teenagers cruising on their bikes around the pier, the Prince's Pier. A pier that's seen thousands of ships arrive since the turn of the 20th century, bursting with new migrants fresh from Europe. Yes, it was here in 1959 that my mother emerged from her cabin after an arduous 6-week sail. I wonder what she thought when she put her foot ashore, thousands of miles from home. I imagine she had a mixture of emotions. Excitement at the thought of her new impending marriage to Harold, but a heavy heart at having to leave her father and mother behind. At least she held on to the reassurance that her brother William had given her a while before. She said to my mother to do what her heart wanted, and that he would look after her parents or the parents. However, sadly, when she left the motherland, she would not know that she was never to see her father again, as he died prematurely only a few years later. Today, here on Princes Pier, Port Melbourne, I will write the epilogue of my book, My Melbourne, a book which hopefully incorporates my own story of Melbourne and all that this city offers. In 3 weeks' time, I will make a journey, not as far as Europe, but to Asia, a journey back to my new home in Thailand after an enforced stay away. I wonder, what would my mother and father think of my exotic life? What I do know is that they would be happy if I was happy, and that is reassuring to me. Vale, Margaret, Mary, Hoffman. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. The next item we have is a performance work by Rissa Belle called Letting Go.
body. I am not even the mind. Thank you.
Thanks, Larissa. We now have an interval for how long, Courtney? 15 minutes? All right, 15 minutes interval. Please take a break, wander around the space, enjoy the artworks, enjoy talking to each other, maintaining social distancing and face masks as you do so. And we'll come back for more in 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Amy, if we can move it. Yeah, just a little bit away from this. Yeah. Yeah, cool, cool. Yeah, but I mean, I guess. drive back to the road.
back, please take a seat. Ooh, I'm very live there. Thank you. Please return to your seats. You might want to go to a different seat for the second half of the evening if you feel like it. No? Okay. Welcome to the second half. We've got 4 acts in this second half. And the first one is a musical item. So we've got Phil Hudson and the Grand Companions who will be bringing us 4 songs. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks very much. Great to be here, and as Natalie said, it's great to see people in 3D and to play some music live. It's pretty exciting. This is my first in-person gig for quite a while. So we've got 4 songs, and we've got a bit of a sub-theme within the theme of Emergence for these songs. So it's all about our relationship with time, particularly around waiting, which is a pretty obvious one for lockdown. And this first one is the one I wrote a couple of months ago, and it's one that came from a time when it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of hope coming out of the media and government, and it just was this really difficult last lockdown that we've been in, and the kids particularly I was feeling for, and so ended up writing a song and made a video using some of the videos sent in from our son's school. Some of the parents sent in videos of their kids, and we put it together and got some other kids to help with the audio as well. So that was it was just great to be able to do that project and just try and add that little bit of extra hope in that last difficult bit of the last lockdown. So it's called We Got This. It's a celebration of, it's sort of acknowledgement of the difficulty and challenge that we all have been through, and also a celebration of acknowledgement of human resilience. So here we go. It's called We Got This. It's fair to say we're over this. We've lived through more lockdowns than we want to think about. And I miss seeing my friends in school sometimes. But I don't want to let it keep us down. We've still got our whole lives ahead of us. So I play in the park, have family time, hold my head high. We're gonna get through, oh we got this, let's take it in our stride. We're gonna get through, be creative, make the most of this time. We're gonna get through, reach out for connection and find a way. Sometimes I get a bit worried, wanna run away, hide away, it's all a bit too hard. My energy's low, feels like there's nowhere to go. So I check in with my heart, try to take a few steps, let my mind run free. Hang out with a friend, let it all off my chest. I just wanna scream, ah! I wanna get through, oh we got this, let's take it in our stride. We're gonna get through, be creative, make the most of this time. We're gonna get through, reach out for connection and find a way. I remember going out with my friends exploring, just having fun, playing a game with a team on a Saturday morning. Summer days, on a backyard barbecue, we'll do it again, it won't be long. Waiting is hard, yet try to be strong. We can all play our part this time, we'll pause. gonna get through. We're gonna get through. Oh, we got this. Let's take it in our stride. We're gonna get through. Be creative. Make the most of this time. We're gonna get through. Reach out for connection, and we'll find the way. We're gonna get through. We're gonna get through. Oh, we got this. We're gonna get through. Oh, we got this. Oh, we got this. We're gonna get. Oh, we got this. We're gonna get. Oh, we got this. I'd like to introduce Mr. Dean Lombard, my oldest friend. I've known him since I was a baby.
Longest friend, not oldest.
Oh yeah, true. Subtle difference.
Important difference.
Yes. Yeah, and it's great to have Dean joining us today. And this next one I wrote during the first lockdown, and in 2020. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
It's the one that we thought was going to be the only one. And my partner in time here, I'll call her, Mish, I'd like to introduce her as well, on percussion, vocals and later clarinet. We found lockdown pretty challenging with our boy, and particularly that first one was really tough. But anyway, this song came out of that first lockdown, but as lockdowns kept on coming after one after the other, I kept on refining the song, which was kind of helpful in a way, because it needed time to get there. Anyway, it's a song called The Waiting Place. It was inspired by a Dr. Seuss book, which, oh yeah, there you go, happens to be up there. It's a page in it's from the book. The
Places Will Go.
That's the one. And it's just a page that struck me when I was reading it to our son, and it's inspired this song anyway, so hope you enjoy it. It's a song about obviously waiting, but it couldn't, maybe not just pandemic, maybe it's something else, so here we go. Came out of left field, knocked me off of my feet. Got a wake-up call, heard reality speak. Now we're trying to teach our boy from home and learning to bake sourdough. Looks like we'll be here a while in the waiting place. Thinking we'll be here for a while in the waiting place. Sometimes I'm just numb, I don't know what I feel. It feels like a bad dream, but this is real. When the tears roll down your face, I know my soul can still be moved. Searching for signs of life in the waiting place. I'm holding on for dear life in the waiting place. The breach to liberties, growing up so slow I can't picture it now. Is my memory going? The path to tomorrow could seem so long. I'm itching, I'm thinking to walk across, and everyone, oh, everyone is just waiting. Breakfast together, coffee at night, simple routines keeping me alive. Just zooming in can get you down till you find the wider view. I'm lucky to be here with you in the waiting place. I'm so lucky to be here with you in the waiting place. In the waiting place. Thanks very much, everyone. Appreciate that. This next one is a song about a very different kind of waiting. And up on the screen on the left-hand side, you can see my friend Don Khan. And Don, if you're watching tonight, I hope you are. Hi to you. Don is one of the refugees who is locked up in Park Hotel Prison. It's not really a hotel, is it? For those who know. I've had the privilege of getting to know him this year through my involvement with Love Makes a Way, and going down to the Park Hotel and singing songs and being part of the daily protests. Don's been in detention for almost 9 years, and he's 25 years old. He came to Australia in 2017 when he was 2013 when he was 17, and was in Manus for a number of years before he was accepted as a refugee. However, they kept him in detention, and then it was only through the Medivac legislation that he was brought to Australia for medical treatment. But like many of them, he hasn't really received much in that. And the recent COVID outbreak at Park Hotel can only testament to the fact that the health of the refugees there is not really much concern to the government. So this is for you, Don. He's a really dear man. He's a beautiful man, and I think all of us here would agree that we really want these guys out as soon as we can, and let's keep working together to get them out. It's cool, brother. Yeah. Brother, oh brother, you carry so much pain, and I could never fathom the dark places you have been. They tried to beat you with their cruel games, you've been fighting back so long. Brother, oh brother, please know, together we strong. Together we are strong. Brother, oh brother, you worry for your land. And guns and hate seem to win, so hard to look, see and understand. But faith and courage resist, small steps one by one. Brother, oh brother, you know, love will overcome. Love will overcome. But you can lean on us, 'cause you give us strength too. You're our inspiration on the road to liberty. Brother, oh brother, please know, someday you are free. One day you are free. Brother, one day you are free. Thanks very much, and yeah, it's hard to find words sometimes, isn't it? Our final song is about a very different kind of waiting. You getting any? I don't really hear any. Anyway, sorry about that. Technical issues. So this it's a different kind of waiting. This is my Melbourne song, acknowledging my coffee addiction, and it was written well before the pandemic. And so some of the lyrics don't really ring true. They talk about being in the office and things like that. So this was a bit of a dream during the pandemic to be able to go and have a coffee. So I haven't done it yet actually, but soon. I went out for dinner once. I haven't actually gone out for a coffee with a friend, so that'll be my next aim. Lying in bed, the morning is dark blue. My wife is dreaming, but I got a job to go to. But my legs aren't listening, my thoughts go round and round. My days are right off before my feet hit the ground. But then I remember my modern morning vice. It's not quite a whiskey, but it's strong, warm and nice. Give me my latte, get my heart started. Oh, you're creamy, you're beanie, and you're quite caffeine-y. It's my middle class addiction, my friend and my affliction. Oh, I can't face the day without a la 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 latte. the office, try to settle down, check my email, spin my chair right around, but my palms are sweaty, my hands begin to shake. I know my boss is busy and my manager's away, so I sneak out the back door, onto the street, race to the vendor and shout out, please give me my latte, get my heart started. Oh, you're creamy, you're beanie and you're white caffeine. It's my middle class addiction, my friend and my affliction. Oh, I can't face the day without a la 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 latte, without a la 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 latte. Hey! Maybe it's time to kick the habit, I reckon I'll be fine. Oh, the traffic home is flowing, I'm feeling so alive. Oh, as I open the front door, my wife turns away. Don't you know what today is? What do you got to say? Oh crap, give me. Let's have a latte, get started. Oh, you're creamy, you're beanie and you're white caffeine. It's our middle class addiction, it's our friend and our addiction. Oh, we can't hardly stay without a latte. Baby, let's party. Oh, you're creamy, you're beanie and a little bit caffeine. It's our special celebration, forget recrimination. Oh, please let me stay and have a, everyone, la 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 la. Thank you very much. Rich Dedick on clarinet and Belle on bar. Thank you everyone. Thanks Courtney and everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phil, and thank you also to your very grand companions who joined you. Thank you. We'll just take a moment to clear the stage before the next item. I actually, in the last lockdown, gave up caffeine for my coffees. And then I went back to work where there's a coffee machine, and I was buzzing a bit the first day when I went back, so now I've taken in some hot chocolate into work, so I do okay now. All right, our next item is Janet Reus-Smit, who's going to read us some poetry. Thank you, Janet.
Well, when asked to, would I do something, I thought, oh yeah, how long do you want? Then I started to think about emergence, and as some of you will have seen, my conclusion is that emergence is all life. At any rate, this first one is probably a little bit about the sorts of feelings in lockdown. Arms embrace me, arms surround me. Where are they now? My heart still beats. My arms embrace my pet. My arms pat others' pets. I see where they are. I warm to what I see. Warmed in by pandemic, warmed emotions freed, a leash restrains me. Return to what was me. Little by little I agree to move. Small mercies begin to improve. Supporting arms Pier, carrying touch, not fear. From the skies water dives, from the pavement all reside, knowing now all are valued by more far and wide. You see things in lockdown and coming out of lockdown, and I live near a park which will remain nameless until I have read you this one I wrote. But please, be on the ball and have your humour with you. 6 little houses sitting in a row. Everywhere I go, Rose Street, Falconer Street, and all around, always in a row. Roofed in white, doors grey, 3 sides blue, seemingly they sway. No foundations, so will they stay? Prestigious garden setting, rear lawn for entertaining, space for many to mingle, modern entertaining, staff needed for cleaning, upmarket ventilation pre-planned, unfenced property line, open invitation for only the best, winning location, opportunity to invest. Only competition, bathing boxes sitting on sand. Our Portaloos rain, craned in for the garden sitting mob. I suggest you go to Edinburgh Gardens and you'll see 6 on that street and 6 on that street where you approach to go in. It's quite humorous. Well, we're in the church, and the church has, for me, with all of the electronic stuff and everything else, been a source of constant humanising and support. So you've got a little bit of Holy Joe stuff here. When I joined our night book group here, I said to them, "Are you a Holy Joe book group?" They said, "Oh, no, we read broadly." Because I told them I wouldn't join a Holy Joe book group. So this is a little bit of Holy Joe. How do I pray? What do I address? My childhood emotions needed love. It came in story, song, and action. The loving hero was Jesus. Good parents couldn't see, but God knew the truth about me, had faith in me, assured my worth. Growing, learning, church, life, working, never needed to limit or fix God's power. It is love, flexible, enabling, justice overflowing. Death of God debates, philosophical theories studied, almost all. Theological tweaking, useful tool. Only in engulfing affirmation of being loved by omnipresent infinity can I seek justice for all environment and know my prayers sponged up. At my end, absorption into love, ever-changing, indefinable, creative God, like I felt in Jesus' story, just a vacuum of glory. Well, I couldn't leave you with that. So I've written this poem that the pronouns can be the same, the pronouns can be non-gender. But in my young days, I loved to dance the tango. She looked at him, and he looked at her. They hooked into a tango and moved. Bodies related, arms dictated a path. Stretched knees bent, they charged. Music beating, pulsing, their breath drawing, eyes withdrawing, soft material sliding. Perfume sweat rises to nose by the beat. Ending, returned to nestling on a seat. Longer later, to embrace, nuzzle, dance, hike, wonder at nature with passion, commit. Infinity determined, divinity adored, schism impossible, ignored. Eager he and she with fiery excitement, ardently intense, grasped shared life. A finger caressing the other's speaking lip. Different thought, then an expressed retort. Could their dance run out? Music be lost, become unheard? Any answer return him to her? This be only a provocative head turn.
Janet, thank you. Our next item is Frank Linehan, who's going to play Roadrunner for us. Thanks, Frank.
Hello. Hi. I'm Frank. This is a song of... Sorry. All right, cool. Now you can hear me. Yeah, this is a song of an album I wrote last year and recorded. I'm in my 50s and I didn't know I could write songs, but I call them songs anyway. But yeah, so this is called Roadrunner. Cruising down the highway in my black Cadillac. I said I'm cruising down the highway in my black Cadillac. Well, I got the wind in my hair, ain't coming back. Going faster than a bullet, how fast is that? I said I'm going faster than a bullet, how fast is that? Well, my car broke down, had to use a jack. Roadrunner, 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 roadrunner. Got the radio on, got some high-octane fuel, and a new set of tools. I said I got some high-octane fuel, and a new set of tools. Well, my baby is beside me, and everything is cool. Roadrunner, 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 roadrunner. Road runner, got the radio on. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. So our last item for the evening is right back where we started. Saide is going to read to us some writing about gifts from the pandemic. After Saide has read, don't just rush home to your warm houses, because they're not warm because you're not there anymore, you're here. Stay around, have a look at the artworks, chat to each other, and there'll be ice cream. From a little room for ice cream just up the road on Sydney Road. You don't even have to go outside to get the ice cream. It will be right here. How lucky are we? Sorry, people online, but maybe you've got some in the freezer that you can enjoy yourselves. Otherwise, tomorrow, go up Sydney Road and get some from Alistair at a little room for ice cream. There we go. How's that for product placement? And don't forget that the exhibition is open tomorrow from 1 till 3 and Sunday from 1 till 3, so you could come, see the exhibition, get some ice cream, and then come see the exhibition the next day and get some ice cream. And then if you're home tomorrow at 2 p.m, even if you're not, you can look at it on your phone. Don't forget there's the final artist spotlight with A.R.D. tomorrow at 2 p.m. All details about that on the church website or in the Facebook group, you can find that information. So, Saide, over to you. Gifts from the pandemic. Thank you.
So I love words, and I love writing stories. And a couple of years ago, I got involved in 10 by 9, which is a storytelling event, which offers you a prompt, and then you write a story based on your life. And so, of course, Emergence was an invitation to write a story about something to do with my life. So here we go. I live in an average 3-bedroom house in a delightful street in Brunswick. We bought it back in 1985 and have renovated it numerous times in ways both big and small. When our older sons were teenagers, the 2 older sons were teenagers and Michael was almost a teenager, we decided to investigate buying a bigger house. We invited our favourite real estate agent, auctioneer Duncan from Nelson Alexander, to come and have a look at our house to tell us how much it was worth. We welcomed Duncan and his sidekick in. They walked around, made a few notes, asked a few questions, and then we sat down for the chat. They started with a ballpark figure, which I quite frankly can't even remember, and then Duncan said something along the lines of, well, we could probably sell your house tomorrow, but your sons are teenagers now, and pretty soon they'll be leaving home. You could buy a bigger house, and then when they all leave home, you'd probably want to downsize and you'll never get something as good as what you have here. And that statement sealed our fate. I guess, although this probably sounds more dramatic than what it was. We loved our house then and we love it still. And so we took Duncan's advice and decided not to sell, fully expecting that within 5 years or so, our 3 sons, David, Matthew and Michael, would be on the way to moving out and we'd be moving towards being blissful empty nesters. Fast forward something like 14 years and empty nesters we definitely are not. David has moved out twice and now has a house of his own, which he's looking forward to moving into. We experienced a brief glimpse of being almost empty nesters when Matthew and Lydia moved out after they got married. Then they returned. Then they went to England for 2 years. Then David returned, and after a year or so he moved out again, offering another brief glimpse of the longer-term future. Then Matthew and Lydia returned home to live with us for a few months while they got established, found jobs, and were ready to move out again. That was in November 2019, which brings me to the gifts of from the pandemic. February to March 2020 was a time of great upheaval for us, just like everybody else. Michael got a part-time job at the start of March at the place he had been volunteering with for nearly a year. Matthew got his dream job in the games industry. Lydia was starting to work as a casual relief teacher. Then Michael and Matthew lost their jobs, and then they got them back again through JobKeeper. Lydia worked sporadically during, between and after the 2020 lockdowns. Ray started working home from mid-March and hasn't left. And before too long, I was working from home as well, sometimes. And just like that, our house was very full most of the time for most of 2020 and this year as well. Later in the year, Matthew lost his job again when JobKeeper finished. Michael's job became casual at around the same time. Matthew and Lydia's plans for moving out were getting further and further out of reach. Matthew eventually found another job in the field of robotic process automation. That's hard to say, and he loves it. David living in his apartment not far up the road was like a satellite of our family home. He struggled a lot through the lockdowns and isolation of living alone, even though he received substantial support through his NDIS plan. Now, this might all sound doom and gloomish, and it's certainly been personally challenging for each of us in different ways, navigating the constantly changing restrictions, or maybe I could call them freedoms, which might feel more positive and reassuring. However, I think it's fair to say that there have been many positives wrapped up in this unanticipated gift of living together. Before the pandemic was even a thing, Amelia, who is somewhere here, gave me the gift of a name for our living arrangements: co-generational share housing. That's cool, right? That's cool. Thank you, Amelia. It's kept me going. It's been a lovely way to frame how we are living and the choices that we have made and continue to make along the way. Now, you'll be grateful that what I'm not going to do is give you a month-by-month description of everything that happened, because that would be weird and potentially boring. Instead, I'm going to offer into this space just a sample of the many gifts that have emerged from this longer period of co-generational share housing than any of us had anticipated or planned for. One of the gifts is for our dog Zim. When life was pre-COVID normal, we would all go off to work and he'd spend many hours outside on his own. Being a social animal, he didn't appreciate this much at all, and he would let anyone who passed by the side of our corner block home know that he was available for conversation and attention. One of our neighbours does not appreciate his exuberant barking at all. Since March last year, Zim has spent most of his time inside with company, and he loves it, especially now as he enters his twilight years. Another gift is the simple joy of company, combined with enough space to ensure that we're not getting in each other's way. Michael spends a lot of time in his room and loves it when Emma comes to stay, giving them much needed time together. Matthew and Lydia spend a lot of time in their room. Ray and I spend a lot of time in our open plan, extraordinarily messy now, study space. We do our own thing for breakfast and mostly also for lunch during the week. Each evening we eat together. And sitting at the table, each evening we eat together, and something new has emerged during this time of sharing meals. Lately, we've been sitting at the table after we've eaten to simply talk. Our old pattern was eat, clear the table, do the dishes, and get ready for meetings or whatever activity we variously had coming up, or we'd all just go back to our own spaces to do more work or watch something on a screen. So now we talk, and it's wonderful. We laugh, and we remember fun things like Matthew and I drinking a lot of wine on our river cruise in Paris. The waiter really took a shine to us. And then me desperately needing ice cream, which what seemed like hours to find, followed by Matthew eating the entire ice cream, very expensive ice cream, in one mouthful. Matthew and Lydia sharing stories of their trip all over Europe. We ponder the fate of the world, discuss politics and lots of more interesting other topics. We all talk about our plans for the future. We discuss the challenges we are all facing currently. We challenge each other, and we talk about difficult topics in a loving, caring way. It's good. Actually, it's really good. These times will be one of the things I missed most when our time of co-generational share housing comes to an end. Last year, we had to give up our house cleaner due to the first lockdown. I invited Michael, Matthew and Lydia to take over the fortnightly cleaning jobs. Michael took on floors, Matthew and Lydia took on the bathroom, toilet and laundry. I had no idea what I was letting myself in for. And what emerged was a very intensive, deep clean of all the cupboards. Everything was removed from all the cupboards and laid out on the tables for me to inspect. There was very strong encouragement to be ruthless with respect to what went back in. I rose to the challenge and I threw out many ancient containers of occasionally unidentifiable cleaning products, discovered treasures which I was then able to use, and gladly added old towels and face washes to our apparel collection. The cupboards sparkled. There was space for everything that remained, and it felt good. I will definitely miss the attention paid to the house cleaning tasks when Matthew and Lydia move out. I mentioned earlier that David lives in an apartment not far from us. Before the pandemic struck, I used to visit David a few times a week. As the world around us shrunk, for David it shrunk even more. Living alone in his apartment with very limited contact from others, I took to visiting every day, often more than once. His psychologist provided me with a carer's certificate allowing regular contact, and I asked for one for Ray as well. With Ray working from home all the time, the opportunity emerged for him to become involved in providing David with support and company. Last year, Ray often worked from home at David's place a few times a week, just to be another person in the space. This was good for all three of us, and a definite gift for Ray and David's relationship in particular. Another little positive for David and I has been the emergence of telehealth for his appointments. Waiting in the relative comfort of his apartment is much better than sitting in a waiting room full of people for appointments that are very often running late. Obviously, seeing a specialist in person has advantages, but for the most part, telehealth has been a real bonus. During this most recent lockdown, Lydia suggested that we should up our monthly eating out commitment to weekly takeaway to support local businesses. This has emerged as a very enjoyable activity, with each of us taking turns to choose somewhere different to eat from each week. It's not surprising that there are so many options in and around Brunswick, and it's delightful to discover new restaurants and menus to try out. There have been many other gifts along the way, like kitchen dancing, Ray's strudel adventure, Matthew and Michael preparing meals together, the virtual Y, David, Ray and I learning new skills to support offering worship, Michael, Matthew and Lydia preparing the BUC news, D&D with Quillan joining the game either in person or remotely, family and friend dinners after rock climbing when we're not in lockdown, and the joy of many people providing recordings for worship. You can see my Faces of Worship installation in the worship space for that. I'm going to finish now with a very precious gift that has emerged from these long, difficult months. As a family, we have faced significant challenges over many years as a result of David's experience of mental ill health. Spending these many months together has resulted in the opportunity to address the impact of these challenges. It has been a slow journey, beginning with missteps on my behalf, as I sought to fix things, to create opportunities for David to have a relationship with Matthew and Michael. We reached a point last year where a decision for them to have no contact with David was reached by mutual agreement. Further conversations led to a decision to make a self-referral to the Bouverie Centre in December. I had an intake conversation at the end of which we were deemed eligible and placed on a waiting list. 6 months later, we had our first appointment on Zoom, all 5 of us on separate screens, carefully sharing our experiences. David offered a heartfelt apology to Michael. Nearly 5 months on, after separate and shared appointments, we are emerging into new ways of being in relationship with each other. Matthew and Michael have shared their concerns about the tension they've observed between Ray and I, brought on in large part by my levels of stress and distress. We've provided clarity about decisions we've made over the years. They challenge me to think about my choices. Michael and I now go on walks together once a week, and we are both engaged in our own personal therapy. David has found new ways to think about his experiences. There is a lightness in our home, a shared pleasure in our co-generational share housing experience that had dwindled. We stay in the same family space for longer, and it feels good. Our therapy journeys are far from over. This precious work takes time and commitment, and we are grateful, very grateful, for the professional support we're being given. I'm in no hurry. I'm in no hurry for Matthew and Lydia to move out, yet I know it will happen soon. David will be moving to his house in Craigieburn, and that will be very different too. Michael will be here a little while longer, as he looks for a full-time job. But the time for him to move out will come around, and then we'll be empty nesters. We've provided all 3 of our sons with support in a wide variety of ways, and we're immensely proud of them. I will be happy sad, and I'll look back and treasure the gift of time we have shared together, a gift that emerges from the darkest of times, blessing us with deeper relationships that will sustain us well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Saide. And thank you to all of our performers this evening. Thank you to Saide, to Frank, to Janet, to Phil and Michaela and Dean, to Rissa, to Tim, to Tessa, to Courtney and James, to Ian. Thank you for all that you have offered to us from your creativity. Thank you for standing up and being vulnerable in front of us and sharing your story with us in the forms that you've brought to us tonight. The night is not quite over. Please, those of you who are here, join us for ice cream in the hall. Please come to the servery, we've got individually packaged ice creams. Please take a seat, enjoy conversation with each other. And when you've finished your ice cream, look at the artwork again. Don't rush home, there's no need to rush away. Enjoy each other's company and the artworks that remain. Please join me in thanking everybody who made tonight such a success. And thank you too to our technical experts who have helped us both with the sound and with the live stream. Thank you. That's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming.